Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. 10 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Wednesday morning, the 19th day of February, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we're broadcasting at 103.3 FM. And if you're listening to us from anywhere else on the planet, you've gone to our website to listen. We're streaming all the time there, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers this morning. The video of this program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard, everyone. I am so glad that you are with us this morning because coming up, we are getting an update from folks at the Central Consolidated School District. We have a full studio with us this morning, so stay tuned for that. Talking about a lot of topics with the Central Schools this morning, so that starts in the next few moments right here on KSJE this morning. Then, of course, next hour, Mick Hess is going to take us roving with the arts. That is our weekday classical music program here on KSJE. Also at 10:30 today, right on Four Corners, our local and regional author program with host Delcherie Gladden. This week, Delcherie is speaking with the owners of Farmington's newest bookstore in downtown Farmington, Quill and Quest, the local bookstore. We'll be doing that today at 10:30 on Right on Four Corners here on KSJE. A reminder, you can connect with us on X and Instagram in addition to Facebook and YouTube. And if you're a podcast person, we invite you to connect with KSJE and download podcasts. They're available wherever you're already listening to podcasts. So check it out and discover a new program that you may have missed recently. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, it is a mostly sunny Wednesday morning, 27 degrees at the moment. We're expecting a partly sunny day today with a high of 48 degrees in Farmington, 30 overnight tonight, more sunshine tomorrow with a high of 54 on Thursday. Sunshine, or I should say partly sunny, with a chance of flurries on Friday with a high of 47, back to sunny day on Saturday, and Sunday with highs in the 50s. I'll be back with my guest from the Central Consolidated School District right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The most important ingredients to sustaining health and wellness are the resources and tools that help you live a vibrant and healthy life. At San Juan Regional Medical Center, the goal is to promote health by making sure those resources are available. Find the path to the best life at lifebetterhere.com. San Juan Regional Medical Center. Better is our mission, improving lives through personalized health and care. I'm back in Studio A this morning with my guest, as I mentioned, from the Central Consolidated School District. Welcome back to KSJE. Central Consolidated School Superintendent Steve Carlson is here with us this morning. Mr. Carlson, good morning.
Morning, Scott. How are you?
Thanks for being here. I'm well. Thank you for coming in. Also, Jerrod Noble is here this morning as well. Good morning, Jerrod. You are the Public Relations Supervisor for the district, so
yes,
glad to have you here as well. And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
You're
my
welcome.
Gosh, happy anniversary to my wife.
Yes.
Yesterday. Yeah,
very understanding wife that you have, yes.
And by the way, I think February should be the month of PIOs coming on the KSJE show.
Right. We've had two this week. You're our second one this week, so how about that? But great to have you here. Thank you. And with some other guests, too, which we'll get to in just a moment. But first things first, we want to talk a little bit about some of the things going on in the Central Consolidated School District with the superintendent. And you had a big honor for one of your employees recently, I understand.
We did, Scott. We had a visit from some folks from the state of New Mexico, some national people. We had a teacher from Kirtland Elementary School. Her name is Rashinda Billy, and she was recognized as a Milken Educator of New Mexico. Those of you who know what the Milken Educator Award is, there's only a few in the entire country. I believe maybe one per state each year, and it's a very prestigious award. They actually came and surprised her with a check for $25,000, and that's something most awards teachers get. There's going to be stipulations on how they could use it, but with the Milken Award, you can use it any way you want. So they just presented her with a big check, $25,000, and they actually take her to California. She goes on a tour out there. I think she goes to Disneyland. Is that correct, Jerrod?
You know, I'm not sure if she goes to Disneyland. She could.
She's got 25,000. She could
could.
probably go to Disneyland.
Disneyland,
She could afford
right?
to go to Disneyland. Sure, why not?
Yeah, so it's a pretty
Good
neat
for her.
award. Yeah, and it's something that we were very proud of, and Jerrod and I got to be there, and we did a photo op, and there's a picture right there.
There it is, right, with the big check.
$25,000, and that's the principal out there is Jay Bushy. He is the gentleman on the left, and that's Rashinda in the middle there.
Yep.
And the lady in the Jerrod will tell you the other one's name. There's one of the folks from the public education department. Her name is Candace Castillo. Is next to me, and the other one is from the Milken family. And her name is, if I talk real slow, Jerrod will fill it
He's
in. Or if he
looking
doesn't,
it
it's
up.
fine.
Oh, I can't.
But she was a really nice lady, I'll tell you
Nice,
that.
very good.
Anyway,
congratulations, and
thank
that's
you.
again a high honor for both her and the district, I think, too.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I just want to mention that we had, and I'm going to have to read this, we had, she's the 4th Milken educator that's been awarded to our district, and that's fantastic. It's higher than anybody else in the state. She just joins a distinguished group that includes Delphina John, Dr. Elvira Bitsoy Largi, who is now the principal down in our city,
Okay,
and Glogine Torricini. So,
a name that
fantastic
we've heard
group of
before
educators.
too. So,
Absolutely.
right, trustee here at San Juan College and county commissioner. So, very good. Well, again, congratulations. And this is again, as you mentioned, not very many of these Milken awards are handed out across the country every year.
No, like I mentioned, perhaps one per state. And so it's a very prestigious award.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, congratulations to her and to her students and her colleagues again at the Central Consolidated Schools. Something else I wanted to ask you a little bit about. You've got some new directors in the district that we want to talk a little bit about as well. There's some other pictures too as the celebration continues there. But you can tell that she was surprised. I don't think she knew she was going to get this.
We had to swear
award.
secrecy too to
I bet.
tell anyone. So
Right.
it was only superintendent, myself, and Jay Bushy, the principal, that just us three knew in our little group with the PED department that we cannot leak any information out whatsoever. I couldn't even do any PR
Right.
on the event. They
No.
had a whole PR team there. It was just I just showed up and told reporters where to go. So it was man. I couldn't imagine if it got leaked what would have happened.
Right. Well, there you go. And for someone in your line of work, that's going to be hard not to be able to publicize
I'm always
an event like that.
I'm
right?
always publicizing everything,
Sure.
so it's hard to keep it a secret.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Well, let's talk about some of the new directors in the district as well. We want to talk a little bit about them and give them some kudos as well.
Sure, yeah, I can go ahead
Okay.
and mention.
Thank you.
I see on your screen right there. The fellow on the right was actually hired first. It's Alex Garuba. He is now our Director of Operations, and he hit the ground running, I believe, January 6th. And he has a very strong background in operations, and so he's really getting his feet wet, and he knows what he's doing by this time, so he's doing a good job.
Very good. And that job, can you give us some idea of kind of what all, is just the operations of the entire district? Is that kind of the
Operations,
idea?
the entire district, and Scott, I know
Well, that's
we-
a big job.
You bet. We talked about it before. We have close to 3,000 square miles from Kirtland to Shiprock down to Newcomb and City, and they take care of all the operations, including maintenance, food service, custodians, transportation. So they do all kinds of things.
Gotcha. That is a big job for a
Big
big
job.
district. So very good. Congrats to him. And then your other new director?
So on the left there, we have Dominic Satania, and for those of your listeners who have heard the name Satania before, you probably might recognize that as a family name from Bloomfield. He grew up in Bloomfield, New Mexico, and he just began. I believe this is his 18th day as a director of finance. So he had a strong background in finance. It wasn't school finance, but
Okay.
he's doing a good job, and we welcome Dominic Satania.
Very good. Just in time for budget season.
There you go. He's actually right now he's at the NMASBO conference in Albuquerque, learning more about budgets. So.
Okay. Very, very good. Well, congrats again to both of those new directors for the Central Consolidated School District. And the next thing I wanted to ask you about are some new, or some distinguishing things for your teachers, some board-certified teachers that have been added to the district. You now have a total of 11?
We do have 11 National Board Certified Teachers. For those of you who don't know that, National Board Certified Teacher is someone who has gone through a process that it's a national process where it's basically about the same as getting a master's degree, and it puts them in line with some of the top teachers in the country. And the state recognizes that by giving them a stipend, which is close to $10,000 a year right now for all 11. They get that. They don't get that indefinitely because they have to go through that process to continue on with that certification.
Right.
So it's a pretty big honor for them to get that. And
Nice.
we have 4 new ones, and we have 11 total.
Okay.
And I believe that Jerrod's going to go ahead and tell you who they are, even though their names are right there.
There they are. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about these 4 new board certified teachers.
So we got 4 that just became national board certified this year. We have Miss Ramona Lucero from Kirtland Central High School, and Carl Shuzan from Kirtland Central High School. Then we have Alicia Wheeler from Kirtland Middle School, Mary Ardonato from Newcomb Elementary School, and then the rest of the list we have Lane Frazier from Eva B. Stokely Elementary, Lindsay Haas from Judy Nelson, Terry Camerzell, yeah, from Kirtland Elementary, Vicky Malo from Judy Nelson, and Printha Scott from Judy Nelson, Kira Smith from Judy Nelson, and Sharman Wheeler from Kirtland Elementary.
Okay. Very good. Congratulations to all of them. And again, this, I guess, sends a message maybe to parents in the district that if their kids are with these teachers, they are board certified teachers, they've gone the extra step, I guess, to get that certification.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I've always told them too, if you see these teachers in your hallway, that's when you shout, MVP, MVP. Yeah.
Very, very good. That's great. Well, wonderful. Well, congrats to them as well, and we appreciate you sharing that with us this morning, and it's great to hear about those things going on at the Central Consolidated School District. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is some of the safety work that's being done at the Central School. So we're going to do a quick switch with Jerrod and make him change seats with our next guest, and we'll introduce some of the other folks from the safety department, and one of them is David Griego, one of the safety coordinators. David is here with us this morning. Good morning, and welcome to KSJE. Great to have you here as well this morning.
Good morning, Scott. Thanks for having us.
You bet. And also the other safety coordinator who's with us this morning is Devin Verhulst.
Correct.
Did I get it mostly right? Excellent.
Absolutely.
Welcome to you, and we're glad to have you here as well. And so talk to me a little bit about the work that both of you do in the safety department. David, let me start with you a little bit. What is your scope, I guess? And you both have a law enforcement background, I know, too.
Yes, Scott. I retired from the Farmington Police Department in 2020. I took on this job. I've been here for almost 5 years now. My title is the safety coordinator for the district. We're in charge of district-wide the safety protocols and implementing protocols and the school safe plans and working with our lead safety advisors, improving the schools for safety and security.
Great. And that's a big job, though, with a big district. We were talking about just how large the Central Consolidated School District is geographically. And so this is at every school, at every property, you have some connection to it for safety purposes?
Yes, sir. We have Devin and I have implemented a program. We call them lead safety advisors. Through our previous employment with being in law enforcement, we were able to recruit some retired police officers to work as lead safety advisors in the school. So that's been beneficial because now we have people who have that expertise and background in law enforcement to assist with security at the schools.
Gotcha. Very good. And Devin, let me come to you and ask you a little bit about your perspective on all this as well. So you're, again, law enforcement background, and so being able to connect with staff and students at these different schools in the district, how important is that?
Oh, thank you for that question, Scott. I think that when you want to connect, building relationships with students and staff at early on at that level, and being in the safety side of things, kids can feel intimidated a little bit, right? Bringing in the right people and having them engage and on a daily basis with staff, with the community members, being a part of all the programs that are there, whether they're athletic events, regular events, dances, all of that type of stuff, is what we challenge our whole entire crew, because that's where you get to truly know what's going on with children and with staff. If there's something going on in their personal life, if there's something going on, are they homeless? Are they, what is truly going on? How can we help? Safety covers all of those realms. It's just not one certain thing with gates or cameras or anything. It's more about engaging and building those relationships.
Sure. I mean, that's part of it, I guess, too, with gates and locks and things
Absolutely.
like that.
Yes, sir.
But there's more to it, and it sounds like it kind of extends beyond the boundaries of the school and beyond the school day. If you're talking about kids that might be homeless or wondering where their next meal is going to come from, or just personal safety, things like that.
That is correct. And if we've built relationships with all the other school districts and their safety departments, and going to the safe school meetings, and then also working with Dr. Verlin Clark out on the Navajo Reservation, and they're setting their task force up, their safety task force as well, and connecting with that with all the PIO officers in the group, and getting them together and sharing that message when stuff's going on in the community. So they're getting real data, true information, and it cuts down on the rumor mill, right?
If you can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good luck with that. But I hear what you're saying. I think that's a good thing. David, let me come back to you a little bit about some of that messaging that gets out to parents, and using maybe the tools with the Public Information Office and things like that to let parents and other folks know, guardians understand what's going on at their kids' school, and things along that line, and trying to cut through that rumor mill if you can.
Yes, Scott, we're very transparent at CCSD. We want to communicate with our parents and staff and let them know what's going on. We work very closely with Jerrod. In fact, his office is right next to ours. And
well, that's just because you have to keep track of them. You got to
right.
keep your eye on them. Yeah.
Mr. Carlson's office is right next to her, so we're right there. So when things are going on at schools, we have a thread, a text thread where we update everybody what's going on, and then we work with Jerrod to put those messages out to the parents and community via social media, robocalls, text messaging, stuff like that.
Right, very important. And we hear a lot of times, too, that schools want kids, if they see something, to say something or things along that line. Is that something that you follow at Central Schools as well, to try to let kids, students, and others know that they can report things that just seem a little out of whack a little bit?
Yeah, we have signage in our school. We have it's an app-based system called See Something, Say Something. Our lead safety advisors push that out every year and have talks with students about how that's available. It's an anonymous reporting system. Students, it's 24/7 manned. When something's going on at school, students can get on that app and report whatever's going on at school. It goes to a dispatcher, and if it's non-emergent, they will alert us via text and through an email. If it is emergent, they'll call the local dispatch officers out, and then they'll send out the alerts to us to let us know what's going on.
Got you. I know the district's doing a lot of work with cameras as well, right? Whether it's on fencing or on school buses and things like that. Which one of you like to talk to me about those programs?
Yeah, I can address that.
Thanks.
It's a 24-hour job updating our cameras and finding our spots where we need to add additional cameras. Again, our lead safety advisors at the schools monitor the camera system, so they're able to see those dead spaces where we're needing additional cameras. We actually upgraded our camera system when we first started 5 years ago. It was kind of archaic and a little bit it was going to a server, so we went to a cloud-based system with the company that we went with, and so now everything's digital. It can be accessed by the phone, through a laptop, or even the hard drive that we have there. So it's constant. We're always constantly spending money upgrading our security and just putting cameras where we need them.
Sure. I would think that, though, that helps with things like vandalism and other issues, too, on those campuses?
Oh, a ton. It cuts. Actually, it's a deterrent. With all the cameras around, I think it deters a lot of that stuff. I'm knock on wood, but we haven't had a lot of vandalism at our schools since we've placed these cameras.
Right. Well, that's a good thing. And cameras coming to school buses as well? Who wants to talk to me about that?
I can address that,
Okay,
too.
sure.
So again, our bus camera systems, we had a bunch of old systems in the buses when we first started that were going down and breaking down. So what we did was we kind of mirrored the same platform we did with the camera systems that we have at the schools. It's a digital based camera system. We have basically there's several cameras inside the bus that allow us to view the entire bus and the students. It has a camera that faces forward for the driving. There's also cameras outside the bus on the stop bar to capture any vehicles or incidents that happen when the school bus is stopping. We're able to capture license plates, pictures of drivers, and stuff like that we can share with law enforcement.
Nice. I'm amazed that some drivers still don't know to stop for a school bus when it stopped. That just amazes me. But I'm glad that you've got some other things to maybe catch some of those folks that maybe are still doing that. So that's good. Other things I want to ask you both about is some CPR and first aid training at the district?
Yes, sir. Correct. Thanks,
All right.
Scott. We continue at Central Consolidated School District. We're continuing to have available to all of our teachers and for all of our coaches and everything, CPR, first aid courses that we offer for them. And we try to offer them multiple times a month throughout the year. We know that everybody's time is valuable, but giving them the most options to be able to schedule around and get a substitute teacher there for those classes is paramount. And then also trying to rotate that on a biannual basis, so it doesn't impact the budget for the district that much by trying to get all of our teachers certified in 1 year. If we can continuously offer that throughout the year, every year, it really kind of allows that money to be spread out as needed. And the other courses that we focus on is an active shooter course that we have that's for all of our teachers and our staff, and it's called AVERT, Active Violence Emergency Response Training, and that also helps open up lines of communication when there is an emergency at your school, when there is an event. It really helps people just to kind of like, I've been through this type of training before, so we can stay calm. I can stay calm with my kiddos in the classroom. We've got this. We're going to keep that door locked. We're going to stay. We have a plan.
Right.
And so going those steps and having those types of training really, and keeping that on the forefront every year, I really think helps with all of our students and staff, that they realize they can handle an emergency when something comes their way.
Right. I think for staff that really makes them feel a little bit more in control and knowing what to do in case of that emergency,
Yes,
things
sir.
like that.
That's correct.
So that's what we're talking about. And your CPR training includes what? First aid and CPR, AED, all that stuff, right?
The whole, it encompasses it all. All of our stations. We've worked really hard with our staff to make sure that we have bleeding control station kits, updated AED stations located throughout our district, and so in our first aid kits. All of those, they're all right next to one another, and they're all within a couple minutes of one another. So building that program and making sure that those are in the building and that they're certified and that they're up to speed, that also alleviates we have a safe environment inside the school, and I know where those tools are if in case we do need to use them.
Sure.
Yes.
But I'd like to add to that, our lead safety advisors, not only the staff are getting trained on this kind of stuff, but we're also having our lead safety advisors work with students to learn how to apply tourniquets and stuff like that when they can and have those times to teach those kids.
Right. Very smart. So that makes sense too. So very good. And some de-escalation training going on too throughout the district, right?
Correct. The new system that we moved over to is called the MANT system, and basically what that is, it's a behavioral training that teaches how to prevent de-escalation and intervene in any type of kiddos that are going through crisis. And we wanted to move over to a system that the best way to describe it is we want to use our words. When kids are going through crisis at the school and they're moving through this process, the last thing anybody wants to do is go hands-on with a kiddo. We want to talk them through this and giving our staff the tools to be able to de-escalate a kiddo back down to the normal level, and then allow them to go through that crisis, come back, and then return back to the learning environment is super important. Right. And this course allows to teach those tools and that skill set. But if there is a case where we have to go hands-on, or the safety team has to go hands-on because the kiddo reaches such a crisis point for their safety, it's less intrusive, and so those techniques on holds and keeping that kiddo safe from concrete objects or walls or that type of stuff.
Right.
They have those tools to go ahead and move forward to keep that kid safe as we move through it.
Got it. And I guess I hear what you're saying. I think too is if a student is just maybe being outburst or vocal, right, or if they're physically fighting somebody, those are two different situations, but you're still trying to de-escalate. No matter how you find that student, you're trying to de-escalate and not have it become physical with your team or a adult faculty member or whatever the case may be. Is that kind of the idea?
Correct. Being able to identify that when the kiddo is, what triggers certain kiddos or where they're at in that process, knowing that, helping to get other kiddos out of the classroom to allow that kiddo to stay in the classroom by himself with the safety team, keeping everybody safe and privacy, all of that, right?
Sure.
And the dignity within the kiddos that are having that is super important to all of us.
So many things to keep track of.
Yes, sir.
So
That
many
is
things,
correct.
and
Yes, sir.
and a lot of that is what we see in law enforcement too these days as well. The de-escalation when law enforcement is coming up on somebody or was in a crisis or whatever the case may be. So we see that a lot, even off school grounds as well. So that's important. New 911 center at Shiprock High School. Is that?
Yes.
What I'm understanding, what
we
is
are
that?
super excited
Yeah.
about that.
Okay.
That, there's going to be a 911 dispatch center coming to the Navajo Reservation. They're finishing up on all their addressing out there now and signage for all of that. But what's exciting for us is they came to Central Consolidated School District and they asked to see if we would be willing to utilize, if they could utilize a portion of our land to build that center on.
I see.
And everybody agreed with that, with the district and the board, to have it placed at Shiprock High School next to the baseball field. So having emergency response managers and the dispatch team there in that building there, having the presence of more law enforcement officers, safety, fire department, EM, all of the dispatchers that are going to be housed in that building, it's just a joy for that to be a part of Central Consolidated School District and the community, having all that access right there, which is beautiful.
Right, that makes sense to me. But to be clear, it's not the school district getting involved in the dispatch business.
No, sir.
That's
No,
going to
sir.
be Navajo Nation PD or Navajo Nation
That is
dispatch
correct.
folks.
Navajo Nation PD, Navajo Dispatch. That is their 911 center.
They're just your neighbor.
Yes, their neighbor, our neighbor, right on the district property.
Gotcha.
Which is awesome.
Very good. Well, great. Well, thank you for sharing all that, both of you, with us this morning. And I appreciate you both being here and the work that you do to keep the students and staff safe throughout the Central Consolidated District. It's a big job.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much. Very good. And Mr. Carlson, I'll come back to you. We saved the best for last. Talk politics a little bit about some of the things going on at the Roundhouse in Santa Fe. There are some pieces of legislation that I know you are watching to see how they might impact your district and others across the state. But talk to me a little bit about what you're looking at. The funding formula, I guess, would be at the top of that list, I would think.
You bet. Every year there's a state equalization grant that the legislators put together that funds the schools, and there's a House Bill 63 which seeks to make some changes to that. Those changes include adding a factor for students, specific students, like secondary students. The state would like to see more CTE programs, and if they put more dollars for secondary students, we can put together more CTE programs across the state. That's career and technical education.
I was just about to ask you that. You're
Sorry
reading my
about
mind.
that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, very good.
But also,
and those have been very effective, have they
yes,
not?
Absolutely. They have.
Yeah.
Because students are connected with them. Students who are in CTE programs have a tendency to actually graduate. Something like 97% of students who are involved in CTE programs graduate, and that's well higher than the normal graduation rate.
Nice, right? And that keeps your graduation rates higher, so win-win.
Absolutely, and there's also a factor for ELL students. We do have quite a few English language learner students in our district, so that would get more money for those students as well.
Okay, all right, very good. The other one I want to ask you a little bit about too is some math and reading bills that are going through.
Absolutely, that's something the state takes seriously, the math and reading scores that our students have. And recently our math and reading scores have been low across the state, across our district as well. And so the state is looking to fortify what we do in instruction, in math and reading. There's been a reading bill that's been going around for the last few years, and all teachers at the elementary level have been trained in the science of teaching the science, or teaching reading, the science of reading. Mm-hmm. And they've used a program called LETTERS, which I believe, do you know what the acronym stands for?
No.
Oh, LETTERS. It's LETRS.
Okay.
Anyway.
We'll look it up.
We'll look it up later, yeah.
That's all right. But that's effective? It's proven to be effective, I guess, elsewhere?
So there have been improvements in reading scores across the state. And
Okay.
they want to do the same thing with math scores. Math scores lag even further behind the rest of the nation. We're last in the nation in math scores. And so the legislature wants to put some money where their mouth is and say, we want to see improvements. We want more professional development. We're going to do some more things with math. We want to have math coaches in the building. So that's something that's still out there. And honestly, I'm all for that, Scott. I think
Sure.
we do need improvements across the state in math.
Gotcha. Very good. And certainly, again, these are bills that have been proposed. We're not sure if they're going to get passed or find their way to the governor's desk, but this is kind of what the legislature's talking about, whether it's
Right
in
now,
committee
yes.
or in full session in front of the bodies at the legislature. And the other one is this anti-distraction policy. I've talked to other school districts about this. This involves, I would think most of it's cell phones, but maybe other devices and things like that. Is that the gist of it?
It's pretty much cell phones, Scott. As you know, cell phones are ubiquitous in our society, and every kid in the classroom has a cell phone every day. We have an issue with that, and some folks deal with it different than other folks. And it's a kind of a hot button issue because there's parents out there who want their kids to have that cell phone.
Well, they want to be able to communicating
They want to be able
with
to
them, I
communicate,
suppose, right, and vice versa.
But to them, it's a safety issue. If my child has their cell phone and something happens in the school, they can let me know about it. And there's kind of an argument there we can make, but there's just, it's not cut and dry, but it's something the legislators are talking about right now.
Gotcha. And does the central districts currently have a policy about cell phones? Or is it left up to the schools or to the classroom teacher? What is your current policy about it?
We do have kind of local control with that. My policy when I was a principal was always kind of a don't ask, don't tell. So when students walked in, we put away the cell phones and we don't want to hear them and we're not going to be using them in the classrooms.
Right.
However, that's not how everybody feels. And so as far as developing a set policy, having the state do that sort of takes that away from the districts. And as far as the bill goes, I would actually be for it.
You'd be for this bill?
I would.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll see what happens, right?
We will.
And we'll see how that goes. That would be for the school districts statewide.
Statewide, yes, sir.
Is what that would be. Gotcha. The tribal regalia at school events bill that's going through, that sounds like it makes a lot of sense, but what's it all about?
You bet. That actually was probably sparked by something that happened here in the Four Corners, and I don't know that I need to get into it because a neighboring district was involved with something that happened at a graduation ceremony involving tribal regalia. Of course, it made national news, and it was, again, a hot-button issue.
Right.
So the state decided, you know what, we want to make sure that type of thing doesn't happen again. The Central Consolidated, we have always been for that. It's very important for us. Culture and language revitalization are important. Now that I said that, we did miss something earlier on I wanted to talk about. We did have 2 students that earned the Navajo Nation bilingual seal. And that's something that
that's true.
We
Yes,
haven't
you
had
have.
that for several years. So.
But we can't say who they are because it's going to be announced later this week, I think.
It's a secret, and Scott, Jerrod has done an excellent job. This is the second secret he's been able to keep. So
wow,
he's doing a great job.
Poor guy. That's right. But congrats to them. They're going to be announced later this week at what's the event,
The
Jerrod?
basketball game. So we have
The basketball game. Thank you.
Tomorrow in Kirtland, before the varsity game is when they're going to do the announcement. And Shiprock High on Friday, the 21st, is when they're going to announce the other student during halftime.
Okay. Very exciting. And this is the 2 students from the Central Consolidated School District who have earned the Navajo Nation Bilingual Seal of Proficiency. And
I believe it's been years since we had students earn their Navajo bilingual seal. So it's we're really excited about
nice
this.
to celebrate that. Well, thank you for reminding me, Mr. Carlson, that we needed to mention that's coming up later on this week. But as far as regalia goes, this would be a state law, I guess, that would protect a student from be able to have the right to wear their regalia at school events. Is that kind of what this bill is about?
That's exactly what the bill's about.
Okay, got you. And so then there's no question, I guess, whether it's allowed or not. Other bills, real quick, in the minutes we have remaining this morning, Tribal Education Trust Fund bill.
Okay, that's another one that's kind of difficult. That was proposed last year, and the trust fund, they want to put $50 million in a trust fund to be distributed among tribal entities. The problem is with the language of the bill that's changed a few times. With that $50 million, it's kind of the disbursement of the money that's the issue. As probably most folks are aware that there are Native American students throughout the state of New Mexico. Of those Native American students, we have pueblos, we have tribes across the state. However, I believe, and Jerrod can check me on the numbers because that's what he does, there's probably about 36,000 Native American students in the state, of which 26,000 are Navajo students. So in order to be equitable, and of course we're all about equity, you'd want to have the dollar amount per student to be about the same, regardless of where those students are from,
Right.
as that money's distributed. And that's not the way the bill has been set up. And so there's kind of jockeying back and forth. In that bill, I believe it's gonna have a tough go as it's making its rounds. But hopefully they'll iron that out, because it's something that tribes could use.
Gotcha.
Last year it had really good momentum, but stalled in the chamber. So this bill did get a different sponsor this year, and it's just doesn't have that traction it did last year. So definitely could use some support from community and from our area to get this bill passed.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. And then real quick, Special Education Act bill. That's
Yes.
talking about more special education funding.
Yeah, Scott, and that one it's another that's a political bill, honestly. And so what it has to do with the governor signed an executive order where she created the Office of Special Education last year, and so that's already happened. And so what happens? This bill probably just more or less codifies that and says that we're going to have it in statute rather than just be a governor decision, because as we all know, that administration might be on their way out eventually at some point.
Well, there's an election. Yeah, right. Exactly.
And when that happens, whoever
This would
comes
ensure
in,
that
yes,
goes to the next administration,
Yes,
perhaps.
absolutely.
I got you.
And speaking of elections, too, the House Joint Resolution 4 and Senate Joint Resolution 3 that involves a state board of education. That's kind of a concern for us, too, especially with our school board members in our area.
Got you. What's the issue there? I guess help me understand that. What's going on with that bill? That would change the makeup of the public education department. Is that the idea?
Yes. So right now the governor appoints a secretary. The problem is that we've had, I believe, 5 secretaries.
I've lost count,
Just
but
in
it's
the
been a
last
lot. Yes,
6
sir.
years or so. So with that turnover, things change. Things kind of start over again, and so the entire public education department has a new focus, and there's a shift going on. And with the creation of the State Board of Education, now we have people who are elected, and those people will be much more stable because they will have a set term.
Gotcha. So not one education secretary, but a board that would oversee public
Board,
education.
and there's 2 different bills, and so the composition of that board would change based on those 2 different bills. So they're still banding about how that might look.
Gotcha.
And that's going to be kind of stuck in the committees for a while, and there's no guarantee that one's going to come out because it's been proposed before.
That's true. I've heard that before. You're right about that. And finally, an out-of-school time programming bill. Can we talk about that just briefly?
Yeah, real briefly. I know we're almost out of time. So OST program, or out-of-school time. That means after school and summer school. That's something that the governor wants to see more kids in school for longer.
Okay.
Students when they're in the seats, they're going to learn more. Statistically, that's how that works. And so there was more funding for out-of-school time programming a couple of years ago. Last year they cut that. And so I think we went from 1.9 million in our district down to somewhere around $500,000, just real quickly. And so we're not able to offer some of those,
Is that things like field trips and things like that, or
no,
other things
the
outside of school?
programs, the outside of school time. There's a summer school program.
I see.
And then the after school program, Scott. I think that so often students come to school and they're not connected with just the general learning. Out of school time programming allows us to offer after school programming where we can do things that we might not do in the normal school day and actually get students excited about being in school. So that funding is very helpful for our district.
Gotcha. This would restore that, I guess, is
It
the
would.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, improving academic performance, reducing juvenile delinquency, and preparing students for the workforce. That's kind of just what the bill is helping all school districts in Mexico with. And of course, parents are probably working after hours, after school gets off. So
True.
you're still leaving kids with their teachers, with their schools, and then parents can pick them up later. So, I mean, we definitely are for this bill.
Right, and I would think certainly in an area like the Central Consolidated School District where you operate, there maybe aren't a lot of options for parents for their kids for after school until maybe they're done at 5 o'clock or 4:30 or whatever the case may be. So that kind of makes sense to me. So very good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, all of you, for coming in. Lots of information shared this morning. I really appreciate you all being here, and Mr. Carlson and your crew. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming in. It's great to see you all.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate you having us.
Thank you very much. My guest this morning from the Central Consolidated School District here on KSJE. KSJE and the San Juan College Native American Center present the Student Study Tip of the Week.
Hello and good day. My name is Emin Chi, academic coach with the Native American Center, bringing you coaching tips of the week. For week 4, find a routine. Getting yourself into a study routine is one of the best ways to make sure that studying becomes part of your everyday habit. Figure out what time of day works best for you and make a real effort to dedicate that time to reviewing notes, videos, and other related sources. Pick times during the week to try out your studying. You can try studying in the morning on one day, the afternoon on another day, and in the evening if that works best for you. When there are no distractions at the end of the night, once you've decided which time works best for you, try to stick with that time of day every day for at least 3 days a week to get in the habit of studying constantly. You might wind up rearranging your routine due to extracurricular activities, time with friends, and other commitments. But be sure to prioritize your studies and get them done in one way or another.
The Student Study Tip of the Week is presented by the San Juan College Native American Center and KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.